China, home to 1 in 5 of the planet's population. The superpower the world fears, but few really know.
Ken Hom is the godfather of Chinese food.
Heaven on earth.
He introduced the wok to the West more than 30 years ago.
This is the way you should be cooking it. Ching-He Huang is leading the next generation of Chinese cooks.
I'm just going to chop off the head.
With a modern, inventive approach to the cuisine.
It's like ducks playing in springtime.
Lovely.
We're taking a once-in-a-lifetime adventure across China through food.
Rabbit head.
Shall we try?
To delve into its heart and soul.
I can pull it. Food is the best way to explore Chinese culture because we really live to eat.
It's an epic trip. 3,000 miles from the megacities of the East to the forgotten villages of the Wild West.
It's like we've been back to the time of Genghis Khan.
She's just decapitated it.
We'll uncover the familiar, the secret, and the surprising.
Wow, I've never seen that done before.
Cook simple and delicious dishes.
That is my Sichuan sausage.
And reveal the secrets of China, old and new.
It's like a journey that I've always dreamt about, but in a China I've dreamt about.
We left the heaving megacities of eastern China far behind. To embark on an intrepid journey across China's vast western frontier.
Oh my gosh, this looks like an ancient medieval city we've come to.
It's really on the far fringes of China.
We're traveling 3,000 miles from the tropical jungle of Yunnan to the deeply divided Muslim city of Kashgar. These regions are home to many of China's 55 ethnic minorities, who make up almost 10% of the population.
Historically, these minorities were seen as a threat to the realm by Han emperors. We want to discover the fate of their cultures and cuisines in modern China.
I think it's beautiful. It's like a ritual.
We're spending our first week in Yunnan province in southwest China, on the border with Vietnam, Laos, and Burma.
Oh, we're here.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
This is Nanpin village, home to the Dai minority who settled in Yunnan in the 7th century.
Is this the village chief?
Tribal chiefs like Bo Wenjiang have been head of Dai villages for centuries. Once an hereditary post, today chiefs are elected by villagers and report to their district Communist Party government.
These families live in homes with few modern conveniences.
This is a house?
Yeah.
And with no electricity, cooking takes place over a simple open fire.
Wow, it's a limited kitchen, huh? It's,
Yeah. Wow.
I like to cook
That's
here.
wonderful.
Tell him we like to cook and share with him our love of cooking and especially the ingredients that you find here.
We'll be cooking for the chief later. But first, we're heading out into the local farmland to learn more about the Thai way of life.
What I
this
like,
is so
Lena, is how
pretty.
they take the creek, how they irrigate the fields. I like
Yeah.
that very much.
Yeah. The Dai people were one of the first cultivators of rice in China. Today, like 128 million of China's rural poor, the villagers of Nanpin live on less than £1 a day. To survive, they must utilize everything in their environment. These local foresters are proving just how resourceful they must be.
How do they know how to
you know, harvest bamboo, because it is a skill, because their knife skills are incredible.
就是也会说是爸爸妈妈教的。
爸爸妈妈教呢，是吧？
This is as strong as steel,
Yeah.
and it's flexible too, and it can be reused again and again.
Absolutely.
Yunnan has 250 types of bamboo, and the Dai villagers have found ingenious uses for it, from building houses, bridges, and farm tools to making food and medicine.
Now they are preparing for lunch.
For these foresters who spend long hours working up the mountains, one bamboo tree will provide them with all the kitchen utensils they need to make lunch on the go.
When the food is prepared, they put the food in it.
It's a big bowl. Look at this, they've made these as well.
I like this. I want one of these.
Yeah.
Now they are making chopsticks.
Oh, they're making
Oh, brilliant!
They're
Bamboo
making
chopsticks. Amazing. Can they make us a bamboo steamer to take home as well? Yeah.
我们如果上山去，刚好冬的话，就是不回来的话，就在山上去做。我们就只带着这些刚才我们看的那些东西，我们只带的那些，我们就在山上自己去做。
哦，这样子啊。
我们从家里面出去背的那些锅啊、碗啊都比较麻烦嘛。
Everything here is sustainable, natural.
Yeah.
The men are making 2 dishes for lunch using the bamboo stalks.
Oh, they.
So first the aromatics.
Oh, okay, the aromatics.
Yum.
Naked.
That looks great. First is a fragrant chicken stew with chili, ginger, and Vietnamese mint. The ingredients are stuffed inside the bamboo stalk, water is added, then rolled up banana leaves are used to seal the contents to keep in the moisture.
This shows what Chinese civilization and food is all about. It's ingenious. It's ingenious. Because it's using everything from your environment in a nice way.
The second dish is made of glutinous rice and peanuts, which are packed inside a smaller bamboo stalk.
My
Since it's not
grandmother
too much.
always said, don't waste rice, because each grain of rice is like a bead of sweat.
Yes.
Because it takes such hard work and backbreaking to collect each grain. Now he said you can cook it. Yeah.
Both bamboo stalks are put on the open fire to cook for about half an hour.
It's certainly a new thing for me. I've never seen anything like this. And I think it's fantastic.
So he's stirring.
I think this ritual shows that China is still very agrarian. Almost half the population has moved to the urban areas, but still it has a very rich agricultural heritage. And I think this type of ritual expresses that.
Chicken is done.
Oh, it's finished.
done.
Yeah,
let's
it's
just.
finished.
That
Chicken
looks good.
stew.
Oh, wonderful.
There goes the head.
The head.
Oh, now he's going to crack it open.
He's cracking it open.
Oh, that looks good. Wow.
谢谢. Because of all the herbs.
It's spicy too. That's
Oh,
wonderful.
that is really wonderful.
There is that bamboo fragrance and that
Which is
sort of
very
really
unusual.
beautiful, delicate sweetness. It's beautiful.
They have their tradition, and it's nice that they maintain it.
Who needs the hand?
The eldest here.
No, thank you. There's some Chinese tradition I don't like.
After lunch, we head back to the village to prepare dinner for our host, the chief. While Ching and the women go river fishing for some of tonight's ingredients.
Oh,
I start on the chicken.
okay. So you must cut like here. Yep, just one. And you let it bleed. And the blood is not wasted because you put it in salt and you can make a sort of blood pudding with it. It goes in soup or is stir-fried. You can't feel the heart beating anymore. And that's it. I did that when I taught professional chefs how to cook, and half of the class almost fainted, and the other half of the class went to complain to the dean. And the dean said to me, Ken, please don't ever do that again. But if you want to really learn about food, I think you have to take the good and the bad. You just can't go to the supermarket and say, you eat chicken. You have to know how it's killed. And if you don't like it, it bothers you, then don't eat it. Simple as that.
The chief and I are going to cook a dish, each with this chicken, to feed 10 people. This might look small compared to what you find in Britain, where we eat on average 3 times more chicken per person than the Chinese. But in a country where there are over 1 billion mouths to feed, that kind of consumption is unsustainable.
Meat is to garnish the veggies. And in the West, veggies are a second thought. I mean, you usually have a big piece of meat, and then you have all these vegetables that are a second thought. And as we know, that's not good for your health. To me, that's really the lessons I think the West can learn from Chinese dietary practices.
I'm cooking a chicken stir-fry, which, in true resourceful Thai style, is using ingredients sourced within 50 yards of where I'm standing. Even the sauce for the marinade is homemade.
I asked the chief, can I have some rice wine? And this is a homemade brew that he makes. Whew, God, if I taste this, I won't be able to cook. That's, wow. I think I better give it to the chicken.
I'm leaving the chicken to marinate for half an hour in light soy sauce and the chief's home-brewed rice wine.
The Dai ladies do all the fishing for their village. There are more than 600 rivers and lakes in Yunnan, with millions of people depending on them for food and water.
I've never seen this unique way of fishing. They're just upturning rocks and, getting really in there.
So it's a very clever technique because you kind of sandwich the net between your feet and then you use your hands to bring the vegetation and the seabed into the net.
Oh, she's got 2 big ones. It's just a river fish. Pangxie, crab.
Living below China's official poverty line, the Dai women can't afford to overlook any potential source of protein in the river.
She said that you can eat this. Looks like some weird river centipede thing. I was like, oh. She's just decapitated it. She can eat that. She said it's delicious. They really have a respect for the environment. They said they don't fish every day, which means they give the river a chance to recover and the fish to, thrive.
For the time being, the women are safe to fish in these waters, but this might not be the case for much longer, because in recent years, many of Yunnan's waterways have become contaminated with pollution from its cities, less than 40 miles away. Back at May's house, we're going to prepare our river catch.
And a lot of the fish is still alive. Did you see that? Just with one knife cut, she guts it and gets rid of the intestines and the belly in one fell knife swoop, even though the fish is so small. She just rips the head off and the tail off that sort of centipede.
I came to China to expand my knowledge of Chinese cooking. Learning how to gut a centipede is certainly doing that.
Because women know how to cook. And also let the men wash the dishes. I understood that bit. I don't understand. Men don't understand. They only know how to eat. So I've got here small river fish, and then I've got just local garlic, wild garlic, some ginger, some small chilies. This is the local chilies. And then there's the Vietnamese mint. And then they've got here some coriander as well. And then some spring onion.
I'm going to make a classic Thai dish of fish cooked in banana leaves.
Just finely chop it. My grandmother would always peel it, and the Chinese believe that when you peel ginger, it becomes more heat-giving property, more yang, more fiery. If you keep the ginger skin on, then it makes the dish more yin, it's more cooling.
First, I'm putting chopped ginger, garlic and chili onto a banana leaf, closely scrutinized by my sous chef, who's keen to offer tips.
She said, chop it, actually, chop all the herbs together, so it's really fine. I would have just thrown it all together, but this is the way they're used to doing. Okay, so we put this all on the leaf like that.
Wrapping the food in a banana leaf seals in moisture and flavour, much like foil or oven-proof paper.
And then you just tie it.
Being here with May and her family takes me back to my childhood, when I was under the supervision of two other formidable family cooks, my grandmother and mother.
So she's just securing the package within some bamboo.
I'm planning to steam the fish, but my sous chef has other ideas.
Oh, then that's how they would normally cook it. She said it's tastier like this than steaming it. She said it's better to... She said if you steam it, it doesn't taste very good.
While it cooks for 20 minutes, May offers me an appetizer.
This is a baby didu. This is the centipede.
The water centipedes she caught at the river have been boiled in a broth of chilies, ginger and herbs.
She said don't be afraid, just eat it. It's like texture, like prawns. It's like river prawn texture, river shrimp. It's not bad. Not bad, actually.
At the chief's house, he's doing his bit to prove that not all men are useless in the kitchen. He's making chicken soup with ginger and chili. His dish is relatively simple. He's very smart not to do anything complicated. But I think people don't realize, when you're cooking at home, you should keep it really nice and simple. I'm using chili and garlic to make one of my favorite dishes, chicken stir-fry with fresh herbs. I'm just going to put my chicken in. Okay. Adding the marinade in there. I'm going to add all my lovely herbs here. This is what I love about Chinese food. All you need is a wok, a flame, and fresh ingredients to make a simple and delicious supper. To go with the chicken, I'm making a classic Yunnan dish, pineapple rice. Ginger, a little bit of salt. I'm going to do our rice. The key ingredient in this dish is pre-cooked cold rice, ideally a day old, stir-fried in very hot oil. To break up the clumps, give the rice a good stir. Then add the pineapple and fresh mint. The wood fire gives it a lovely smoky flavor. With fresh local ingredients, this is traditional village cooking at its best. In Thailand, we say hom.
Oh, what mean hom?
Fragrant. Something smells good, we say hom.
Oh.
Hom.
Yeah. Fragrant.
Yeah, hom. We are ready. Just have to wait for Ching and the rest of the women for the fish.
Yeah, everyone is hungry. So this is the banana leaf wrapped fish.
Oh,
Wow. She said it's very good.
This is
Did you
a
get
soup
us this one?
the chief made.
Oh, delicious.
And
Good fish
this is
soup.
pineapple rice.
Didu. You know what you just ate?
No.
It's a centipede.
Oh, that's an interesting flavor.
Yeah, it's quite sweet.
Yes, but I wouldn't order it every day.
Oh, this rice is delicious.
Good?
Mm.
好事，好事，好事。
So inspired by the use of the local ingredients fishing for your own fish. You can't get fresher than that. Isn't that just wonderful?
They're really close to the earth.
Nature, yeah.
Yes.
It's our second day in Yunnan province, and we're enjoying a traditional breakfast at the guest house.
Look at her outfit, so beautiful.
This looks like some sort of vegetable.
It's fiddlehead fern.
I love it. Chilies, like in Thailand.
Garlic chilies.
This is the most unusual breakfast I've had in China so far.
This is supposed to be the birthplace of tea in the whole of China. So I'm excited to try the pu'er tea, because that's one of my favorite teas. It's awfully good for you. It's very cleansing, and it helps to lower cholesterol and helps prevent heart disease, all these good things.
Pu'er tea, named after a town in Yunnan, came to prominence when it was drunk by emperors during the Tang dynasty 1300 years ago. Today, it's a global export industry worth millions of pounds. Unlike most teas, which can lose their freshness soon after production, pu'er tea is fermented, which improves the taste, texture, and aroma. The most sought-after pu'er teas can take 30 years to mature, and 1 cup of leaves can reach up to £1,000. After a 2-hour journey, I arrive at the tiny village of Zhanglang, home to the Bulang minority, who've been growing, tending and harvesting tea for thousands of years.
Oh, look, there's some tea being dried in the sun. It's a very underdeveloped part of Yunnan. Wow, we're really high up, and this is a gorgeous little village.
Zhanglang is home to 45 families, 80% of whom make a living from selling pu'er tea leaves to processing factories. Xiao Li and Xiao Lu are 2 young tea picker friends.
这是采茶。They started tea picking when they were 11 and 12, so very young. 10多岁. They went to primary school. There's a school in the village, but they left school about 10. And they've been tea picking ever since.
We head outside to the plantation so the girls can show me the ropes. China's emerging free market economy and state promotion of tea over the last 10 years resulted in an export boom. Many villagers in Yunnan converted their subsistence land into tea terraces.
This is just the size of it. It's huge. I've never experienced a tea plantation this big.
But an investor buying frenzy led to lots of fake pu'er teas flooding the market. And in 2008, the bubble burst and thousands of tea producers went out of business.
They're super fast. It's like a blink, and then they've gone through a whole bush.
But with their organic production methods and indigenous skills, passed down through the generations, the Bulang were able to brand the authenticity of their pu'er tea and ride out the collapse.
So this is the best part. This is the part that they pick off the leaves of the tea. So first the tender, shoot that's coming out, and the top 2 leaves. That's the most prized bit, and it's because it has more tea fragrance as opposed to sort of the older leaves. And I've never cooked with these pu'er green tea leaves before, so I'm really excited. It's very tender. Slightly bitter, but it's good for you. Because actually, with tea, in traditional Chinese medicine, they say that you must have tea in your diet because there's that bitterness that we lack. You can get salt, sweet, sour, fiery, pungent flavors from many different vegetables and fruit, but you can't get bitterness, that flavor profile, but you can get it from tea.
After a couple of hours, we're heading back to prepare dinner with the leaves we've picked.
I think the grandmother is the culinary expert. She's looking at me out of the corner of her eye.
Even though I've been cooking for years, it's always a little nerve-wracking entering another woman's kitchen.
小一点，大一点。No, she was saying that normally they cut the chicken into smaller pieces, but I haven't cut it small enough.
For dinner, I'm making chicken infused with pu'er tea leaves. First, I'm adding freshly picked leaves and chicken to the hot oil in the wok.
I love it. It's really woody and smoky from the wood fire underneath.
After stir-frying for about 4 minutes, I add a cup of pu'er tea made from sun-dried leaves.
Okay, so I'm just going to pour the tea in together with some of those leaves. Now I'm going to just slowly let the chicken infuse with the flavors of the tea. There's a quick taste of the seasoning. You know, that the infusion, that soup base has now become really sort of bittersweet, you know, from the chicken. It's really delicious, actually. I quite like the idea of putting some of these pea aubergine in, just a handful. What I might do is just add another element of sweetness, and that is from the leaves of the local pumpkin plant here. So I'm just going to toss that with the pumpkin leaves in this tea chicken broth. And then, yeah, we're good to eat.
If you want to try this recipe at home, you can use green tea leaves instead of pu'er and substitute the pea aubergines with diced purple aubergine. Now it just remains to be seen what Grandma makes of my efforts.
Yeah, she said 味道还好. She said, yeah, the flavor is good, not bad.
I'm on my way to Jinghong, Yunnan's fastest growing city. It's just 40 miles north of the tiny mountain village of Zhanglang, but it feels like a world away.
I actually didn't expect this. Like a mass construction site. And things are being excavated like crazy. The construction is at a frenetic pace.
I came to China expecting it to have changed since my last big trip 23 years ago. But this city is beyond what I imagined. Brash, gaudy, and jam-packed with tourists.
Sort of a Chinese Disneyland. The whole place, Las Vegas. This place will really take off.
Cultural tourism has been an integral part of China's modernization strategy for 20 years. Here in Jinghong, there are 13 different ethnic minorities, and their colorful festivals and foods draw Chinese visitors from all over the country. As the city adapts to the demands of tourism, I want to know if these minorities have retained their distinct cultural identities. I'm in a suburb of Jinghong, where many Thai families have set up small cottage industries producing traditional Yunnan food for the tourist trade, including one of my absolute favorites.
It's something I grew up with. My mom was a great fan of it. She used to send me out getting fresh rice noodles stir-fried, and it was a special treat. Is this it? Oh, it's huge. Wow.
Hello, Mr. Ken. How are you?
How are you?
This is Mr. I.
Hi, Mr.
He's managing.
Mr. Ai and his wife used to be farmers. Now they run a successful business supplying noodles to some of the busiest tourist restaurants in the city. And it's all done from their garage.
This is made from rice flour?
Yes, it is. They soak the rice first, and then they grind it, and then move it to the big pot.
After the rice is ground into flour, it's combined with water to make dough. The exact quantities are a closely guarded family secret. Finally, the dough is passed through a noodle extruder.
It's almost an art, the way she's handling it. See, none of it breaks. She knows exactly what point to cut it. I love it. It's like putting out your laundry. It all has to do with the weight. She takes it, and she feels the weight of it. It's too heavy on one side, and I guess it's an art. She's been doing it for a while. She's amazing.
Mrs. Ai invites me to have a go.
It's not as even as hers. What a mess.
No prizes for guessing which one is mine. Rice noodles have been established fare in Yunnan for centuries. They're gluten-free with a silky texture that absorbs flavors more efficiently than the less spongy wheat noodles, which makes them perfect for soups and stir-fries.
I'd like to invite you to have my noodles.
I would be so happy. Try them.
It's great to see Thai migrants from the countryside making a successful living in the city, producing traditional food for the burgeoning tourist industry.
The rice noodles apparently has been an old family recipe. They were selling it out of their farm before, and they decided to be more entrepreneurial, which is what has happened in China. You have these very small families that are starting businesses like this. This is really the base of capitalism. And who knows, maybe in the next 30 years, there'll be a gigantic corporation based on this family recipe. I'm very curious.
After breakfast, Mr. Ai is keen to show me around his house.
Oh, nice living room, a nice sofa. Oh, that's their son? Oh, he's very cute. How many bedrooms?
Four bedrooms.
Wow, it's very, very big house.
His house is smaller than others.
Oh, really?
Their neighbors is much bigger.
It's much bigger.
Yeah.
Business is clearly booming for Mr. Ai, and things can only get better with 1.5 billion pounds earmarked for tourism development in Jinghong.
There's an airport over there.
Wow, that's the airport?
Yeah. It's under construction now. So many tourists will come and they need more airports to meet the demand.
I see.
This tourist city might have a Disneyland feel to it, but from what I've seen today, the minorities here are really embracing the opportunities it offers. And it's not at the expense of their cultural and culinary traditions.
They have ambitions. They thought that their culture and everything that went with it, like their cuisine, would be wiped out, and instead it's thriving like crazy.
Nowhere is this more evident than in the local market.
This is exciting. It's things I've never seen before. These local ladies are so elegant with their gloves. This excites me. Wow, this is beautiful.
It's our final night in Yunnan. Ching is about to join me in Jinghong, so I'm picking up some local ingredients for dinner.
Now, this is something I really wanted to try here, especially in Yunnan, because Yunnan is famous for bamboo. So several bamboo shoots would be nice. We have tried these noodles before, and I want to try one of my favorite. These are rice noodle as well, and it's actually been partially cooked by steaming, and it's again made with rice flour and water.
God, that does look like looks like Las Vegas. All these bright lights, and then look, we've got Thailand over there.
Since rice noodles are a specialty of Yunnan, I'm using them to make one of my favorite dishes, stir-fried rice noodles with broad beans and bamboo shoots.
It's really important when you cook rice noodle is get the flavor of the wok, right?
I love that smoky doorway.
I'm going to add a tiny bit of this lovely chili oil. The garlic, wow, that is fantastic. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it out for a second, and I'm going to stir fry the rest of the vegetables.
So I love it. You're like a perfectionist cook like my grandmother. She'd always cook each ingredient perfectly and then bring them back into the wok to warm through and then add the seasoning, like, you know, the soy sauce or the vinegar or sesame oil.
Is in steps. What I mean by that is you cook one thing and then you take it out. I'm putting in the bamboo shoots and the broad beans, adding a little bit of rice wine to that. lovely soy sauce. And we just let that cook over quite a high temperature until it's sort of cooked and wilted.
Oh, that looks good.
Oyster sauce.
Yum.
This is really...
I love oyster sauce. Am I allowed to try some? Oh, that's so good. That is delicious.
This dish is really Yunnan for me, especially with this rice noodle, which is very unusual, soft, and
It's really delicious.
Ching, I don't know about you, but even with all this incredible change in this place, I don't think the food will change, simply because of its long tradition.
They're so proud of their produce. And for me, the way when I saw the tea farmers farm their farm and, you know, just if that tradition has been going thousands of years, I know for sure tea and food go hand in hand. Their food will absolutely be preserved. So good.
To
Cheers,
Yunnan.
Ken.
And it's food and it's people.
And to Pu Tea and the beer.
Yes, absolutely.
And Disneyland.
Disneyland.
We're on the second stage of our epic journey across China's vast western frontier, where few travellers dare to venture.
After traveling more than 3,000 miles northwest, we arrive in Kashgar, in Shenzhen province, which lies on the borders with Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Kashgar is home to a veiled minority, whose culture is at odds with the modernizing zeal of the ruling Han Chinese.
Gosh, this looks like an ancient medieval city we've come to.
It's really on the far fringes of China.
This city was once a major center on the Silk Road, the 7,000-mile trade route that connected China's Yellow River Valley with India and the Mediterranean.
Today, Kashgar is a deeply divided city. In the old town, the Uyghurs, Turkic Muslim people from Central Asia, strive to preserve their ancient culture and religious practices.
While in the new city, the recent influx of Han Chinese, who make up 92% of China's population, build their skyscrapers with the riches of the region's oil and gas. This is where the Far East meets the Middle East.
I don't feel like I'm in China. I feel like I'm Central Asia, but it's not China.
It's where there have been violent protests from disenfranchised Uyghurs against the Han Chinese.
And where tradition and modernity are in open conflict.
We've come to the market to find out if Uyghur culinary and religious customs are surviving in this ethnically divided city.
This is certainly the most exotic place we've been to in China.
We're met by our guide, Mohammed.
Hi! Hello! Nice to meet you. I am Mohammed. Nice to meet you. Welcome to Kashgar.
Nice to meet you, Mohammed.
Nice to meet you. You guys just arrived?
Yes, we did.
Come on, I show you around.
Thank you. Thanks.
It's a pleasure.
1,000 years ago, this market would have been overrun with caravans bringing goods in and out of China on the Northern Silk Road. Today, with over 5,000 stalls, it's jam-packed with traders hot off the Karakoram Highway from Pakistan.
Raisins.
Yeah.
These are apricot seeds.
Apricot seeds?
Yeah. Those are sunflower seeds. People just mix a little bit of everything, put it into their pocket. It's delicious, yeah?
Really good. Healthy for you.
You know, apricot seed is very good for men.
Yeah.
Really? Oh.
I won't ask you why. You eat this, you don't need Viagra.
Very good.
Wandering through the market, it's striking to see one food you'd be hard-pressed to find anywhere else in China.
Wow, this is what I want to say.
Delicious.
Yeah, can we buy one?
Yes.
Here, naan bread is sold on virtually every street corner.
Oh, yes,
With sesame seeds with onion?
Salt?
Yeah, they just put those on top.
2,000 years ago, the nomadic cattle herders traveling through this region relied on this bread to sustain them in the desert. Today, Uyghurs consider it to be sacred.
Bread means life.
So you cannot throw bread away?
Never.
You're like
Never.
throwing away your life?
If even it's too old, I rather take it to somebody, just feed the sheep, with this. I never throw it into the rubbish.
Naan bread is traditionally baked in large outdoor tandoor ovens. The hot clay walls of the oven bake the bread crispy on the bottom, but leave it soft in the center. But the skill lies in getting it to stick onto the oven wall.
Okay. Okay, got it. Good. Push it. Oh my God, it's falling down. Oh, Ching. Oh my God, Ching. Oh no.
Where is it?
No, my bread.
Oh God.
Oh, God.
God, I dread to do this now.
Okay, just slap it on,
Okay.
basically, Ken.
Okay.
Oh.
Is it? Whew. Oh.
Why? There it is.
It's not exactly like his.
Wow, there's mine. It's a new take on a calzone.
Poor Ching.
Hey, this could be a new innovation here, this style of bread. Huh? It's a new way of eating.
In 2009, the Chinese government began a 300 million pound clear-up of Kashgar, demolishing mosques, markets, and century-old houses in the Uyghur-dominated old city.
How many people still live around here?
About 200,000. More than half of the population of the Kashgar city are living in the old city.
Right.
It's really packed up.
Is it because it's convenient and
Because they've been living in this town for many, many generations, about 1,000 years. And, they grow up here, they like their home. Most of the houses are inherited from their, parents or grandparents. Everybody knows each other in the neighborhood.
right?
Many Uyghurs are trying hard to resist assimilation with the Han Chinese, and one way they're doing it is through food. One thing us Cantonese don't eat much of is lamb, but in Kashgar, it's both a ceremonial and an everyday meat. And every Kashgari knows there's only one place to buy it. Thousands of people swarm into Kashgar every Sunday for the livestock market. It's a disorientating cacophony of animals, car horns, and bartering traders. Today is particularly busy because Nowruz is coming up, an ancient Persian festival celebrated by the Uyghurs which marks the coming of spring. And lamb is as essential to that as turkey is to a British Christmas.
With the market so busy, we're relieved to have Muhammad's friend Wahab to show us around.
This animal market has a history of more than 2,000 years.
Wow.
It's
Crazy. I feel like we've stepped back in olden times.
It's like we've been back to the time of Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
We're meeting the #1 roast lamb chef in Kashgar. He's got an order for a New Year celebration and is here to find the best sheep.
Hello.
This is one of the best quality sheep. 2 years old.
2 years old.
3 years old.
You
2
can
years
tell
old.
by the teeth.
Yes.
I mean, why would they buy a 3-year-old? Is there a difference?
Yes, if it's younger, it's more better quality. And also the taste of the sheep is more delicious. If the sheep's ear is bigger, it's much better.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
For taste?
For taste and for
breeding.
For breeding.
For breeding, yes.
We're keen to know how the chef is going to prepare and roast the lamb, so he invites us to his kitchen to observe an age-old tradition.
Hello.
Hello. This is the sheep.
Yes, this is
He's
sheep.
going to slaughter.
He's going to slaughter it here. It must done by a halal way. If it's not possible to eat. Yes. Before his slaughter, he must read a Quran. Just he's reading Quran and slaughtering.
39-year-old Azmajan has been in the business for 15 years, learning his skill from his father.
It's very quick. That's fast, huh?
After the sheep is slaughtered, air is pumped into the skin to make it easier for the chef to remove it.
He's a real expert.
He is a real expert, huh?
Muslim people, we don't eat the blood. We don't eat the blood.
That's why you don't save it. That's why
You don't save it, yeah.
You don't save it.
Because we keep the blood, chicken's blood, pig's blood, and we make little like rice cakes and we grill it.
Sausage.
We don't.
It's actually quite good, no?
No.
It's reassuring to see that a centuries-old Islamic culinary tradition is still going strong.
It's like an eggy, starchy wash.
And also when it's roasted, it's not burned.
Oh,
Yeah.
this protects it from
Yes.
burning.
Burning, yes.
It's not what I expected
No,
to look like.
no.
No, aşo dadlardan bölek dadlarının dadısı müştah kıygamı dedi.
Meni çoğundadan dadısı çoğundadan mağarada meni tağım peş oldu
Grandfather and grandfather's father.
Yes. Oh, so many generations.
Yes, and his two uncles. He's the number 5.
Wow.
Oh yeah, what
You
did he
said a
say?
prayer.
Like, I start with Allah helps me with a successful ending.
And then,
I think it's beautiful. It's like a ritual.
no?
Yes, yes, like that. Yes.
The chef has asked me to make a dish to complement the lamb for the New Year's feast.
God, I've cooked a lot of places in my time, but this beats it.
I want to use local ingredients, but with my Chinese style of cooking.
There's the chef's daughters over there.
They look like him.
I'm making my version of a very famous Uyghur dish called polo. This is rice pilaf, flavored with onion, fine strips of carrots, dry fruit, and nuts.
I have a little bit of water just boiling here, which I've flavored with some saffron that I got at the market.
The saffron should go into hot water. This helps to release the aroma that will infuse the dish. I am also adding a pinch of salt and a teaspoon of cumin.
It'll be flavorful.
Cumin isn't a spice we use much in Chinese cooking because it's got such a strong flavor, but it's very popular in Middle Eastern dishes. When the oil is hot in the wok, add 2 chopped onions and stir fry for about a minute. Then add the carrots, salt, and pepper, and stir fry for another couple of minutes.
I'm just putting in some celery. I'm trying to use everything that's in their resources.
That's local, yeah.
I'm going to cover that because that will maximize the temperature.
This should be left to simmer for about 8 minutes.
I have here some lovely pistachio, apricot seeds, and some raisins. Well, we're really here at the crossroad of East and West. And this is very Middle Eastern, using all these nuts.
Yeah.
Next, the rice goes in.
Well, this rice is a little bit like short grain. Just warm it up. What I'll add is my liquid of water and saffron, a little bit of salt and spices.
Finally, add the pistachio nuts, apricot kernels, raisins, and chopped celery leaves.
It's different, good different. The taste is good and it looks pretty, colorful.
Okay, thank you, Chef.
Onions are really sweet. Rice is cooked through and tender. The raisins in there really adds a sweetness, yeah, and the apricot kernels have a good crunch, good texture. Wow, that's amazing. Wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
It looks so ceremonial.
After a few embellishments, the lamb is ready to go to the New Year's feast. Nowruz is the most important date on the Uyghur calendar. So it's an honor to be able to deliver the lamb and my rice polo to a family celebration.
So Ken, we go to the men's party, and Chen, you go to the ladies' party here.
Okay, so it's separate.
It's separate.
Separate.
Okay, that's nice, isn't it? But that's their culture, so something I'm not used to.
So is this a tradition that men and women eat separately?
Yes, that's our tradition. Yes.
Is that every day or for
No,
occasion?
once a year.
Once a year?
Once a year. Yes.
Other times they eat together?
They eat together, yes.
Oh, okay. So how will the women have the lamb?
No, they bring some big plate and just take it to the ladies' party.
All the food today was made by all the women, by all her mum-in-law's family and sisters. They don't question, that's the way they've lived for many, many years.
I'd like to wish them all a very prosperous New Year.
Bayram Mubarak Pusu. Bayram Mubarak Pusu.
That's something I'm going to try.
We've left the New Year celebration behind to go to Mohammed's house, where we've been invited to his family's Nowruz festivities.
Mohammed, this is it?
Yes, you're right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Once again, we're entering the domain of a formidable group of women.
This is my mother. Hello. This is my wife. This is my uncle's wife.
Hello.
This is my younger sister.
It's going to be a real privilege to cook with these women, particularly as men are usually banned from their kitchen.
Wow, Mohammed, your wife is really quick, really good at making the noodles, huh?
Everything is prepared by hand. It tastes better.
I agree.
I agree.
The Uyghurs, like Italians, are pasta specialists and claim to make 72 different varieties. Today, the ladies are making 2 family favorites.
So the thickness should be all the same.
Mohammed's wife is showing me how to make lahman, the famous hand-pulled noodles of this region.
Oh, okay. I said, wow, this is quite a thick noodle. And she said, no, it goes to another stage. We kind of pull it to make it thinner.
It's a 2-stage process. First, we roll the dough, made of flour and water, into long sausages. Then we coil them around the circular base of an oiled tin and leave them to rest for half an hour.
那你通常你很忙吗？有时间做像这样子吗？
一般下午下班走的时候可以做，然后是现在特别忙，一般是一个星期只能休息。
Oh, the dough is ready now.
休息的时候做，我觉得他休息给他们丈夫给儿子做饭，我就觉得高兴。
Meanwhile, Mohammed's mother is making chokora, which is a dumpling soup.
So this is for the dumpling. How long she's been making these dumplings?
About 50 years.
I could just tell by the way she moves. She's very skilled.
First, she rolls out the dough, which is made from egg whites rather than yolks, so that she can stretch it out more.
Instead of having a very big thing to roll, she rolls it like on one thing. This is how Italians also do pasta.
I paid my way through university by giving lessons in how to make Italian pasta.
Side by side. Wow.
Now I feel like the student.
So clever.
This is worth the trip out here.
Yeah.
To see this.
Absolutely.
Once Mohammed's mother has cut the dough into small squares, we roll them into parcels, which are then stuffed with alfalfa sprouts.
Oh wow, that's like tortellini.
Tortellini.
That's vegetable tortellini.
She takes a
Take a little bit. And then just
fold it into itself like that.
like that.
As the honorary male cook, I want to know if I passed the test with the women of the house.
Akishtim bizsa oshxonada billa o'ttasi qanday hissiyotga keldinglar deydi. Biz azaldan chimaymiz oshxonaga desa maydam chirib oldi, arsi qanday o'ylabdi deydi.
Shunda ta'sirinib ketdi.
Kenny's okay though. Oh, I think she's telling him off.
Yeah.
I think she's saying,
She said, you should come
she
in the
should be
kitchen
coming
more often.
She says she's really impressed. She said, our man should come to the kitchen too.
It needed no translation. It needed no translation.
The dumplings need to boil for 5 minutes until they become translucent. Meanwhile, I head outside to see how Mohammed's auntie is getting on with the rest of the meal.
This is just the sauce for the noodles, right?
Yeah.
There's no meat in this one.
There are meat in it.
Oh, there is meat.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
lamb in it.
Lamb, okay. Yeah. Lamb everywhere.
I'm helping Mohammed's aunt finish the lahman noodles. The first step is to pull each length of the noodle onto an oiled board.
This pull, she's kind of working the dough, spinning it.
Then she winds the noodles around her hands. And now for the most difficult part, stretching them out.
It looks like she's playing cat's cradle. Wow. Wow. Kali how?
Then they go into a wok of boiling water for 3 minutes.
She took it like that. This is a long piece of noodle. Bang it. Pull it. Bang it. Slap it against the board. That's it. Ta-da!
It's the end of our time in Kashgar and our exploration of China's ethnic minority cuisines.
Okay, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is start with noodle.
Okay. Wow, this is the one you pulled?
This I really am in love with the noodles.
Yes.
It really is springy and delicious, and it's really satisfying making your own noodles. China is so diverse, so many different people, different ideas, different religions, different cultures. The Dai minority, the Bulang minority. Through food, that's their identity. Then now with the Uyghurs, that's their culture just right on the plate, right there, says it all. It's magnificent.
Mohammed, to you and your whole family, thank you very much.
Yeah.
What I've learned and discovered by coming to Kashgar and Yunnan was, I think it deepened my understanding about China. Even though they're within the Chinese nation, they haven't lost their local traditions, which I think is very important.
Next time, we journey to Guangdong province.
This is where my culinary soul is.
To explore the many faces of Cantonese cuisine.
Oh my God, alligators.
And culture in the city where my parents met.
They're going to sing my mother's favorite aria. Very touched.
Before we complete our journey across China with an emotional pilgrimage to our ancestral homes.
My food memory started here, and I think I have come full circle.
We're in one of the world's most remote places, braving -30 degrees as we head for wild China next.